My name is Jeremy Devins, and this is the Quiet Mind Astrology Podcast with the Friday forecast for May 10th, 17th, 2024. And if you want to know how this affects you personally, get your free birth chart and training at quietmindastrology.com, where you can see your North Indian style chart and where all your planets are placed in your birth chart. And if you want to know how to interpret your birth chart, check out quietmindastrology.com/101. I'll be hosting the Decode Your Birth Chart workshop, easy for me to say, coming up very soon, live on Zoom. So there's an early registration opportunity right now if you go to quietmindastrology.com/101. And if you've already joined in the past, you get to join for free. So this is something I do with this program. Once you join it once, you get to access all the future workshops as well. So lots of bonus stuff as well. When you sign up right away, you can start learning. You can see the past workshops and all sorts of other cool stuff. So quietmindastrology.com/101. This is where you go if you want to start to learn how to read your chart and really make sense of the transits happening every week. So let's look at the big picture of what's going on right now. We just had the new moon in Bharani Nakshatra on May 7th or 8th, depending where you are in the world. And this is a big shift of energies, the end of the eclipse season that we just went through, the big eclipse portal, the beginning of 2024. Every time we go through that, you go through big life turning points. And now you're on the other side. For me personally, I just moved into a new home, feeling a huge shift of energy, really good in my practices, really grounded, really more peace, more relaxation, more ease at the other side of this. If you're not feeling that, hang in there. I'll tell you why you might be feeling that, what other things might be affecting you. But with the new moon, it's a great time to set new intentions wherever you're at and be clear and intentional with what you want to create and birth into your life. Bharani can be quite intense and extreme and quite transformational, where we move into a new phase of life. It's the symbol of the yoni, the birth, the beginning of life, but also ruled by the deity Yama, the death, the ending of life. So there are extremes here. There can be push-pull energies in your life, but this is an opportunity for rebirth. Wherever you're at, an opportunity to start a new path in life, to let go of old things and transform what is remaining into what you want to create going forward. It can be a bit intense, but it's a big shift. It's one of the biggest ones of the year, really, because we're coming out of the eclipse portal and setting the stage for the next 6 months. Mercury Gandanta on May 10th, today as I'm recording this. So untying a karmic knot around your communication. It's a big breakthrough in your communication, an opportunity to be more vulnerable in your communication as well. So this is a big shift as well in the way that you learn and information that you're taking in. A wonderful time for beginning a new learning path. For example, maybe you want to study astrology in more depth. Books I recommend, Astrology Yoga by my mentor, Matab Benton, and the Beneath the Vedic Sky by William Levesey. These are great references and great resources to go deeper in your astrology studies, and great for all levels. So learning things. If there's something you want to learn and grow more in yourself, there's maybe something that's been blocked that now can be unblocked. And we always have free will of how to work with these energies, so it's not happening to you. I saw this great meme that Brittany from the Astrology Mentorship Program sent me of this guy. He's on the phone with his girlfriend, and he's like, I know you're mad at me, but I just learned my astrology, and turns out that I'm Aquarius moon, so I need to be more aloof and independent. So that's one way you can use astrology of like, it's in my chart, it's just the way it is, that's just who I am. And obviously, if somebody were to use that in a conflict with you, you'd be even more upset with them because it's taking away your responsibility, right? So astrology is not the cause of the effects in our lives, but it is a marker of the effects in our lives. It's a way that we can understand our communication better with Mercury Gandanta, to unblock a way of communicating that's been blocked. Partially for me, moving into a new place, I feel more able to express myself, and just in the environment around me feels more free and spacious, so easier to express myself. And maybe there's some place that you've been stuck in your learning path that you feel blocked, that you could break through that at this time. Sun in Taurus is happening this week. I'll talk more about that later, but it's from May 14th to June 14th, and it's conjunct Jupiter. So this is a prosperous energy where we can have new abundance, new growth in our lives, enlightenment even through meditation practices, Jupiter, the guru, the sun, the light. So we can receive this wisdom from our teachers and our trainings and our learning in our life to have enlightenment, where we take in more light via the actual sun, if you're in the climate where it's starting to be more sunny now, or actual to feel lighter, right? To become lighter, enlightenment, where we put down some of the stress that we've had in our lives and some of the worry and the anxiety. And now Jupiter brings expansion and growth, and sun brings this light and energy around this, where this can be a much more prosperous time for us, especially with the new moon in Bharani again, with the Yama energy of letting things go. And of course, Jupiter in Taurus, I've talked about a lot recently. Started May 1st, 2024, continues from May till May 15th, 2025. It's always about a year for the Jupiter transits. And this is bringing more stability and Taurus energy into the family, into our finances, into our grounding, more depth within all of that, like a tree rooting down, but also a tree branching out with more expansion of Jupiter, which brings expansion and protection to grow in the Taurus realms of family, finances, things like this. Growing a garden, improving your home, feeling more grounded in yourself, going deeper into your yoga practices, very good time for all this. Meditation practices, things like this. You can check out the Quiet Mind Yoga podcast. I've got tons of free yoga classes there for you if you want to jump into any of those, for all levels, all styles. So that's a great place to go if you want to deepen your practice now during this time. Ketu, of course, in Virgo, which is always opposite of Rahu, which is in Pisces. And that, of course, is going on November 28th, 2023 until May 30th, 2025. So these are some big themes, of course, I've talked about in past episodes. You can go back to those Rahu Ketu episodes in November 23 to hear more about that, how it affects you personally. And it's a good time to also it's always a good time to stay connected to the big picture of these things and check in with those. So Ketu in Virgo brings more precision into our lives. Virgo, the precise, detail-oriented part of ourselves. Ketu, it's the sense of like we have this. It's innate in us. We can connect to it. But Ketu also brings detachment, where it's time to let go of some of our material attachments so that we can have more of our health and wellness, which is Virgo, and create more intentionality with what we use and what we actually do have in our lives, a more minimalist approach, which is Virgo. And there can be great spiritual insights with this that you may have been having over the past few months. There may be some things you've needed to let go of over the past few months that if you're still holding on and you feel unable to let go, with this new moon in Bharani, maybe this sense of freedom to be able to do that now. There's that potential, there's that energy. And if you're feeling you're struggling, things are just not aligned, you're not feeling all this good stuff I'm talking about, that is likely somewhere that you're misaligned internally, because the planets do not cause all this. You are at cause in your life. You are setting intentions, and then the universe responds. Just like a Google search, Google is not causing you to find results. You are typing in the results that you want to look for, right? You don't just go to google.com and then it just gives you all these results you don't want. You go to google.com and you type in what you're looking for. I think the reason that's so popular and becomes so embedded in culture is because it's just how the universe actually works. It's how naturally things work. So we go to google.com, we go to our lives, we wake up, and we type in through our words, through our actions, what we want in our lives. And the universe responds. And it gives us the top search results for what we're looking for. And if we don't like it, we try typing in something else, start over. Set your intention again. So with Ketu and Virgo, it's an 18-month cycle, as well as Rahu and Pisces. Ketu and Rahu, it's always an 18-month cycle. So we're going through these big chapters of life marked by the eclipses every 6 months within those 18-month cycles. So a good time as we end that eclipse season to reconnect to your intentions of what are you typing into the search engine of your life? What are you looking for? And then what results are you getting back? And if you're not liking the results you're getting, just come back to the blank slate, set a new intention. You don't have to beat yourself up about it. You don't need to do 10 years of therapy, which can be helpful, recommend that. But it doesn't have to be super complicated. You just come back to, okay, what do I want? What do I actually want? When I work with clients, when I work with people who are in this struggling phase and they're in a lot of things spinning, they're not sure what's going on, where to turn, just come back to, okay, what do you want? What are you typing into the search engine of your life? What intentions are you setting? And K2 in Virgo is taking away what is not necessary, what is not for our growth and healing, what is not needed to be in our daily lives. It's taking it away. And if we hold on, it sucks. And if we let go too soon, it also sucks, right? So there's that balance of healthy detachment and realignment, which could actually take a while. Right? The actual getting in alignment with your intention could actually take a while. You might say you want to make more money. Well, you can't just push a button and more money shows up in your life. You might want to have a better relationship. You can't just push a button and have the better relationship. You've got to do the communication work. You've got to do the labor work or the career work if you want to increase your income, right? So this can help us let go of what's not serving us, but then the Rahu and Pisces inviting us to dream bigger, to have visions, to have these intentions, but also we can be seeing illusions. We can become disillusioned of thinking, I want to go this way. That's what I want. That's what I saw other people want. That's what I should want. And you go that way and you become disillusioned and you're like, well, that's not actually what I want. I don't like that. And then it's like, well, I don't know what I want anymore, and I'm just going to drift for a while. And I think of this concept a lot from the book Outwitting the Devil by Earl Nightingale. The other guy. Forgetting his name now, but the other guy who wrote Think and Grow Rich. Somebody can type in the YouTube comments. But the book Outwitting the Devil, he talks about this conversation with the devil, whatever you think of that, whatever. But I think what is true and resonant in that is that the devil says that he controls people by having them drift through life, by having no intention, no aim, no purpose, just drifting through life, just scrolling on your phone, just doing what other people tell you because it's what you should do. And you suffer, and you're not enjoying life. You're not getting to enjoy the fruits of life, and you're not helping others, you're not helping yourself, etc. So if you notice yourself drifting, Rahu in Pisces is inviting us to come back to our vision. And yes, sometimes our visions are shattered, sometimes we're disillusioned, sometimes it sucks. And still, Rahu in Pisces is saying, come back to your vision, come back to your intention. And through that, your ego is dying. K2 in Virgo, what you attach to in the daily life, your physical body even, what you attach to in your health, letting the attachments go so you have greater spiritual growth. This only happens once every 18 years. This is a big deal when K2 and Rahu change signs. So when it's here, it's important to really work with that energy, work with those lessons. We're only going to get to go through a few of these, a handful of them really, in our lifetimes. Every 18 years, so maybe like 5 or 6 if we're fortunate to live a long life. And this goes quick, so maybe more, maybe 7, 8, 9, who knows. But Rahu in Pisces is inviting us to dream bigger, to have a bigger vision. All this, still Saturn and Aquarius still going on, bringing big innovations in technology. We've talked about a lot on this podcast, and deepening our disciplines and our practices. Such a wonderful time to be connecting to your individual disciplines, your routines, your health practices, things that really nourish you, and finding new ways of doing things, new lessons, new teachers, new paths in your life. And we see huge technological breakthroughs and innovations all throughout the tech world, and that's going to have huge ripple effects into the world, just like last time Saturn was in Aquarius in the mid-90s when the internet blew up, and that changed the world over time, right? It took us maybe 10, 15 years to really see everything move online, and the implications of AI and modern tech breakthroughs are happening now are going to take a while, but it's going to totally change the world of employment. And there's already these pilot programs throughout the world of universal basic income where you don't have to work. You just get money to spend. and a lot of things are moving in that direction. Whatever your opinion of that, or however that's actually going to look, we don't know. I don't know, but it's very likely that the world's going to move in that direction more and more, where you don't have to do work, that you can choose to do work and do things that inspire you or interest you or help others or enrich society. But a lot of the mundane tasks can be outsourced to technology. You maybe have seen a recent meme of a worker robot, like doing tasks, like moving this from here to there, moving packages around. And they have the robot work 24/7. And after like 18 hours, the robot just falls over. So even the robots are needing rest at this point. But we will get to the point where the robots can do these tasks that previously required humans, like hands-on moving things from here to there, that can be replaced once these robots can get their act together and work 24 hours, 7 days a week. Unlike us, we need rest. Eventually, the robots will not need rest. Hopefully, they are benign, benefic robots. Uranus and Taurus, this is coming up on June 1st in a few weeks. So I'll talk about this more in depth coming up on a future podcast. But this is a big deal, right? It's going to be there 8 years, June 1st, 2024 to April 21st, 2032. Uranus, the planet of revolutions in Taurus. So it's been in Uranus and Aries, seeing this big revolution beginning and big implications for the US and across the world. But this can make big changes and breakthroughs in your personal life, in your family, in your finances, in financial sectors, as I've talked about, big financial shifts in the world, moving towards some sort of digital currency by 2030, likely, when Saturn moves to Taurus, and we see the ending of an old currency, as happens whenever Saturn's in Taurus. And with Uranus and Taurus, big revolutions around finances and money. This could have to do with Bitcoin, but just my personal opinion, it seems very likely it'll be some sort of centralized currency that was the successor to the Federal Reserve, which I think is stupid, in my opinion. And I wish something like Bitcoin would overtake it, but the government is going to be the government. It's probably going to find a way to make some sort of Bitcoin alternative and maybe even make Bitcoin illegal. Who knows? But we'll see. But there will certainly be financial revolution coming over this time, which, how does this affect you? Well, again, I think it's so important to be connecting to what do you want to do? If money was no issue, what would you be doing with your time? Because in about 10 years, it's possible that money will be no issue, or at least a lesser issue. And the technology will be so advanced that it just makes a lot of things unnecessary or replaceable, that there's more choice in career path and what you want to be doing. So Uranus and Taurus inviting you to revolutionize the way that you think about how you earn money, how you spend money, what you want to create in your life, your family life. And then Neptune and Pisces. So from April 18th, 2022, this started 2 years ago, Neptune, the planet of illusions and shocking changes in the world, moved into Pisces and stays there until June 26, 2035. Themes of dissolution can happen with this, and this is a more challenging placement that I've talked about before. I think can relate to big changes in world structures and things that we're seeing like in the Middle East, and lots of protests happening right now, and all that stuff is just outside of anything I know anything about, other than I can say that with Neptune and Pisces, all of that stuff is more visible than ever before, and old ways of resolving conflict and handling these kind of global issues needs to change dramatically, and that could lead to some sort of one world government like the WHO moves towards. It could lead to some sort of grassroots movement. I don't know. But what I can say is likely there will continue to be shocking changes throughout global affairs and global issues and geopolitical stuff and wars and all that. That is not the best news, but with this, it is bringing all that to the front to have us see our illusions, to see where old ways that were necessary of like conquering and dividing and conquering and separating land and ownership and all this throughout history. Basically, the more mighty revolution would take over. That's not necessarily needed in the modern world. That will likely always be here to some degree, but this is inviting us to change our way of looking at the world. And maybe there's people that you know personally or you personally are affected by this in different cultures and different religions and all that, to move towards a place where there's more understanding. And on a personal level, this can be a very inspiring time. Neptune and Pisces, a dreamy, visionary kind of energy, and can bring us more compassion for understanding others' struggles, and hopefully on a global scale as well. And then what I'll talk about in our next episode of the podcast, Pluto in Capricorn is about to go, it just went retrograde, and I'll talk about that. But it's been there from February 24th, 2020 until March 4th, 2039. And it will continue, counting retrogrades, it will go through 2040. So 20 years here of Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto shakes up our foundation and goes to the depths of our psychology. Also, the deity associated with Pluto is Yama, like the new moon in Bharani. So there's a very transformational energy where we see power structures that need to be changed in the world. Some people will take power, and this could be grassroots, this could be global. We'll see reformation of power structures and changes that are much needed. My own personal desire, what I'm typing into my intentions of the universe, that the external things I can't control, but what I would love to see is something to replace the outdated way of government that's so bureaucratic and just so complicated and convoluted. With the modern technology we have, there needs to be some sort of major tech sort of breakthroughs in policy and government and things like this, and structures of cities and roads and school systems and all this, which is just so outdated and so needed to be transformed and revolutionized in the same way that new entrepreneurs can come through and revolutionize different businesses and markets with new ideas. This is not possible in the very bureaucratic forms of government we have. And Capricorn represents government and structures, and Pluto is shaking them to their core and bringing about necessary changes and death in that realm of old ways, old structures dying off. So as I've talked about this a lot over the past few years, we've seen it very, very visibly with the massive government control around COVID all throughout the world, and the big revolt against that in different ways. So the necessary need for more efficiency in the government and more change in the government coming through all this. Now, coming up, we're just starting this May 2nd until October 12th, Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So this is going to happen many times, Pluto retrograding in Capricorn. And it's part of why it takes so long in a sign. It goes forward and back about almost the same amount every year. So 5.5 months backwards, and then 5.5 months to get back to where it started, and then 6.5 months forwards. So it's like 6.5 steps forward, 5.5 steps back with Pluto. It's slow and deliberate, just really making sure we get those lessons. We go really deep into these things, we transform things. So this is coming up, and I'll talk about it more in the next episode in depth for your rising and moon signs. But introspection, of course, anytime there's a retrograde, time to go back over Pluto things, our subconscious, deep therapy, deep healing work. In Capricorn, the structures of our lives, the routines in our lives. Time to purge. This could be literal purging, like if you do an ayahuasca ceremony, you literally purge, you throw up. Or it could be purging of cleaning out your closet, cleaning out space in your life. I can tell you, as somebody with Mars in the 4th house, which means I move a lot in my life, and I have moved a ton. I'm 38 now. I've moved probably 45 times in my life, not exaggerating. And I just moved again. And it feels so good to live a light life where I can easily pick up and move. It's nice to have things, but you don't need too many things. And, just my own personal perspective is when you have this lightness, when you regularly do these mini purges with the retrogrades, you let things go, you clear things out, you feel lighter. You can move forward. And you can not have to carry all this stuff with you. It's kind of like you have a backpack, and throughout life we're putting things in there, putting stones in there. And at a certain point, life becomes heavy and a drudgery because we're carrying all those stones with us. And sometimes we've got to look in that backpack and say, why am I still holding on to this one? Put it down. Give it to someone else who needs that stone in their journey, right? It's like this idea also of like when you cross a bridge or you cross a river with a boat, at a certain point you got to put the boat down or dock the boat. You can't carry it with you onto land. You needed it to cross the river, but you don't need it on the land anymore. So Pluto retrograde is really inviting us to notice what we're carrying with us that it's time to put down and let go. From May 2nd to October 12th, 2024. I'll talk more about this in the next episode because it's a big one. And we're purging, we're letting things go, we're realigning to what's true for us. So, I wouldn't be able to move so much if I had all this stuff to carry with me personally. Not saying everyone should move every few months, and I'm probably going to stay where I am now for several months, a long time, hopefully. And I feel very happy with this place. But, sometimes you feel that need, and you just trust it. But if you're going to make any movement in your life, the heavier you are, the more you're carrying, the harder it is, the heavier it is, the more you feel bogged down. And that's the negative side of this Pluto energy. You just feel heavy, lethargic, depressed, weighed down, and you can't move forward. But you can when you let things go, you realign. And then, of course, the shadow period of that will be October 12th to March 23rd. Another 5.5 months where you're still working through those lessons. So you go back, you dig things out, you clean things out, and now you've cleaned them out, you cleared them out, and now you can move forward in that spaciousness that you've carved out for yourself. From October 12th, 2024 to March 23rd, 2025. Again, we'll talk about this more in the next episode. It's a big deal and really powerful transit. Now, what we're here for today, looking at just this week, Friday, May 10th, Mercury in Ashwini for 10 days. If you're watching the video, I've got the actual charts pulled up, the Prajna charts, to look at where the planets start on May 10th, where they'll end up May 17th next week. So Friday, May 10th, starting with Mercury moving into Ashwini, and you see there's 4 planets now in Aries, so including Mercury. This brings quick and decisive communication and decision-making, and this is a key quality of leaders and entrepreneurs. If you want to be a leader in your life, if you want to create and start things, you've got to make decisions quickly and efficiently and just say this is where you're going. And all this Aries energy right now is about this. Like, be quick, be efficient, be direct, go for what you want. Great time for initiating new projects and ideas as we're still in the new moon phase, the waxing moon. Positive influence on intellectual pursuits and mental agility. Easy for my mental agility to say. But this is a great time for learning. Anything you want to learn or explore. Great for that, but you might be impulsive or hasty in communication. So yeah, be quick, be direct, but not too quick, right? Not stumbling on your words like I was, but also not overlooking the basic details of what you're actually doing and just rushing into things. So it's also all part of Mercury being in Aries here, the big conjunctions. And Aries, Ashwini are very synonymous. So when we say Ashwini, that's the first nakshatra in Aries. And we say Aries, what we're really thinking about most of the time is more of the Ashwini energy than it is the Bharani or Kritika, which is also Aries. But most people think of Aries, they're thinking of Ashwini energies. So all those things hold here these first 10 days, May 10th to May 20th. But overall, Mercury will be in Aries for 20 days, May 10th to May 30th. Also, today, May 10th, big day, the Mercury Gandanta I talked about, untying the karmic knot, and the Mercury in Aries and Ashwini, starting things, kicking things off, and then Sun and Kritika here in the later part of Aries for 13 days. That'll cross over to Taurus. This brings a determined and focused approach to your personal and professional matters, and positive influence on your individual goals, your self-expression. Great time for goal setting with all the other things I talked about going on. More determination, more perseverance. This is a powerful staying energy. And there's a tendency to be overly assertive or rigid in pursuing your goals, especially when we get to the Taurus part. You can become stubborn about your goals. So always remaining slightly flexible and setting your goals. And something I've found really helpful for myself, you might find this useful, is some sort of way of tracking your goal, making it visible, and making it fun. Anytime you're moving towards a goal, I always talk about and recommend the book Atomic Habits. So he says in that book, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And with all the Capricorn energy that's been so dominant, all the Saturn energy over the past few years, systems are very important to consider. And that book, of course, was massively successful, sold millions of copies during this time. So your systems, your processes, like Jerry Seinfeld would write a joke every day and just put an X on his calendar. And his whole goal was just don't break the streak. Just every day write a joke, put an X on the calendar. So the more simple and fun and easy it is for you to track your systems towards your goals, the more inevitable they become. If your goal is to lose weight, you track your calories every day and eating in a way that will cause you to be in a caloric deficit and lose weight. And every day you mark it somehow, maybe you mark on your calendar, big X, you tracked your calories, makes your weight loss goal inevitable. Whatever your goal is, that book's very, very useful. Atomic Habits, highly recommend. But with all of this energy I mentioned, great energy for being intentional in your goals, moving towards your goals, be determined towards them, and taking action. Then, the big shift of this middle of the month, on Tuesday, May 14th, the sun moves into Taurus, always about 30 days in a sign, and it'll be conjunct Jupiter. If you look on the video, you see Sun, Jupiter at the end of this week. They're together there for the duration of that transit, May 14th to about June 14th. And this brings a grounded and practical approach to your financial and material matters. Wonderful energies here. Positive influence on stability, growth, and practical pursuits. You've got goals, habits, things you want to get into your routine. This is great. Setting up your systems in your life. Doing a morning yoga practice, morning meditation, highly recommended. There's so many yoga classes on the Quiet Mind Yoga podcast. You could do a different one every day throughout this whole transit, every day for 30 days. Just do a different yoga class for free. And it's a great time to really connect to that grounded energy that you get through like Hatha yoga practice. Favorable time for cultivating and enjoying the pleasures of life. Getting some candles in the evening, putting on some music that you like. I love mantras. If you are looking for a good playlist, look up Spanish mantras on Spotify. There's a really great playlist on there. You'll know it when you find it. I don't know any of the songs. I'm trying to learn more Spanish myself. That's one of my goals, and being more practical about that. 30 minutes a day on Duolingo. So learning more Spanish and listening to more Spanish mantras. But my God, it's a whole new world of beautiful music that I never knew about, because I mostly listen to English or Sanskrit, kirtan, mantras. So there's a whole beautiful world of so much amazing Spanish art, by the way. If you ever go to Mexico City, there's an amazing museum of art, and so much great Spanish guitar music, Spanish mantras. So check that out on Spotify if you want to enjoy the musical pleasures of life with Sun and Taurus. Could be stubborn or resistant to change. Oh, the Taurus stereotype. But also on May 14th, Mars moves into Revati for 17 days, conjunct Rahu in Revati. So this is a powerful conjunction. When Mars Rahu is generally considered malefic. So if you've got a lot of Pisces stuff in your chart, a lot of Jupiter stuff in your chart, ruled by Jupiter, this might be challenging. You got Pisces ascendant, Pisces moon, Revati in your chart, like Sun, Moon, or Mars or Rahu, or Jupiter there. So all of that could be some of the more negative stuff. If you're feeling the more negative stuff recently, that's intense. That is bringing about things that need to be changed in your life. It is compelling you to do something about it. There's an energetic energy here that, on the positive side, though, brings more interest and desire towards your spiritual and creative pursuits and your vision. It makes you more assertive and more focused on understanding your actions, understanding yourself, and understanding others. There is more passion and drive and anything to do with service. So if you have an opportunity to help someone else, that will help you more than you know. So seva, selfless service, is a path towards liberation because you have to lose yourself to help others. Gandhi would say this, if you want to find yourself, lose yourself in service to others. This Revati energy, all this Pisces energy is really bringing that forward. So if you're struggling personally, you're feeling like really spinning out, losing yourself, if you really want to find yourself, help someone else. This Revati energy is really calling us towards that. And this applies to everyone, by the way, not just if you're having a hard time right now. Like, how can you be of greater service? Who can you help more? How can you lose yourself in service to others? You could become too idealistic with this and impatient with others, and there could be a lot of conflict that is necessary to have the friction to make you make changes in your life when Mars moves forward into its own sign of Aries. So the Mars Rahu is the friction part, but generally Mars in Pisces is okay. Rahu in Pisces is okay. Neptune can bring some illusions with all of this. You might not be seeing things clearly, but it's also friction that is necessary to take action. Right? We want to have a fire in the belly. We want to have Agni that is necessary for transformation, purification, digestion. We talk about it as the gut microbiome in modern terms, but it's Agni, it's digestive fire. And that fire in your belly that says take action, be focused, be driven, not so much that it's unrealistic that you burn out, but enough, not so little that you're lethargic or apathetic or lazy or tired. No judgment of anything you're going through, of course. Sometimes we need times where we're more internal, more yin, more receptive, more relaxed. I'm not talking about that. That's necessary every day, really. That's important, and even sometimes longer cycles. And you can be in that receptive, relaxed, resting, even confused, lost, worried state. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But we don't have to stay stuck there. And if you feel like you want to transform that, the fire of Mars can transform it and purify what is blocking your clarity. And the last notable transit this week is on Thursday, May 16th. Venus moves into Kritika Nakshatra in Aries, so moving out of Bharani and the beautiful energy there of creating, beautifying, and now into Kritika. This brings a harmonious and affectionate approach to your relationships and partnerships. There's a favorable time for creative and artistic expression in your romantic matters. This positive influence on your financial and material stability, especially when we get to the Taurus side of this. But there is a potential for possessiveness or conflicts arising from your strong desires. So Venus is always calling us forward towards what we want to create. And the Kritika, a little more discerning about that, but also can bring a lot of creative energy. And it can also be necessary that we cut some things away. So there's still this energy of being more discerning, more intentional with our lives, and maybe there's some things we need to change in our home, in ourselves, getting a haircut, getting your nails trimmed, getting a manicure, pedicure, getting a new wardrobe, clearing out your closet. These are all favorable activities with this energy. So on the next episode, Pluto retrograde. We're going to talk about how this affects all rising and moon signs. So if you don't know your chart, get your free birth chart at quietmindastrology.com. You can also go quietmindastrology.com/101 and sign up for the Decode Your Birth Chart live workshop. It's not free. This one's not free. We're going to go very deep. There's a huge manual. It's like 52-page workbook that you get with this. There's over 10 hours of training, bonus training you get with this. So this is very thorough and very deep. If you want to come out of this and you can pull up your chart and say, okay, I've got Venus and Taurus, and it means X, Y, and Z, which is aspected by Saturn, which means X, Y, and Z. This is the training to do that. This is the place where you learn all the main meanings of all the signs, planets, houses, nakshatras, how to put it together, and how to read it all holistically, which you can't do with any software app right now. Still, that's probably coming. I think that will be possible in like 5 years or so, where it could be at the level of an astrologer. And then who knows, maybe I won't have a job anymore. But we're in this place now where it's easier than ever to learn things, but there's a lot of misguided information. And if you just Google what does it mean when the new moon's in Bharani, you're going to see some things that are accurate and just about as much that is inaccurate. And how do you know which is which? Well, you've got to do some level of training in this. You can't just go on Google and find these things that really take years and years to learn, but the AI will advance to the point that it can do that. That's inevitable. But until then, it's so valuable to know for yourself, right? It's like the AI could read a book for you. You can listen to audiobooks, but if you don't know how to read yourself, you're at a major disadvantage of experiencing life and just knowing how to move through life. So learning this is like learning how to read the language of the stars, the language of the cosmos. Like Einstein said, I want to know how God thinks. Right? So if you want to know how the universe thinks, this is what we have the birth chart. It's so incredible. We get this map of our consciousness, of our psyche, of ourselves, of our path in our lives, our dashas, the karma unfolding in our lives. It's all written in the birth chart, but it's not easy to read. And there's a lot of misguided stuff online. So if you want the clear, direct guidance from somebody who's been doing this for a very long time, then that's what we'll do at the 101 course, quietmindastrology.com/101. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please take a moment to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, a rating on Spotify. This helps tremendously for new people to find this. So we've got more people to share Vedic astrology with, which is like 0.1% of the world. Maybe a few thousand people who really get into astrology at the level you're getting into it by listening to this podcast. Maybe tens of thousands, but not that many, really. It's a very niche topic, but I don't think it has to be. And I think it can be something that we all know and talk about. And we don't have this experience where everybody's talking about, oh, the astrology, this is happening. Well, if you look in the night sky, you can actually see Pluto's actually here, Saturn's actually there. And Vedic astrology is based on the real astronomy of what's happening and based on thousands of years of a tradition passed down teacher to student. So if you want to share this, it's more fun to share with friends. You learn each other's birth charts. You can talk about it together. You can compare it to your Western astrology, which has its place. Western astrology is awesome itself. But if you want to go deeper into the Vedic astrology, leave a rating review, share it with a friend. It helps this podcast grow. Follow me on YouTube and Instagram for the videos on YouTube, the memes on Instagram. I'm a meme machine on Instagram. You can look at all the highlights for lots of laughs and insights into astrology. And I want to say thank you for listening. If you enjoy this, do the things I said. And if you don't enjoy it, just never listen again and find something else that you do enjoy. But I enjoy this. I hope you can feel that. I love getting to share this. I love sharing astrology. It's my life's work. It's something I'm just nerding out about every day anyway. So it's fun to get to hit record and share about it with you. So thank you for listening and look forward to sharing more with you next time on the Quiet Mind Astrology Podcast.